Hello, this is Superintendent Michael Richard, and I'd like to welcome you to our inaugural segment of In the Spotlight with the Superintendent. And I'm joined today by Jeanine Heil, who is our newly appointed principal at Coburn Elementary School. The purpose of the In the Spotlight is for us to play off of what we've done with the District Spotlight, our online special that is focused each week on the good things that are happening in our district. And this is an opportunity for us to dig a little bit deeper into what's happening in the West Springfield Public Schools. So, Jeanine, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Why don't I start with an easy one for you and tell me a little bit about what's it been like in your transition in your first year as principal at Coburn Elementary?
Well, I think despite starting on August 17th, right before the school year starts, I feel like it's been a pretty comfortable and smooth transition. The administrative team, central office have been really supportive. I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of my colleagues to talk about the history at Coburn, find out a little bit more about West Side and the West Springfield Public Schools, and be able to best support my teachers and my students. So teachers have been fantastic, and it's been a very smooth transition. So I feel like I've been here a lot longer than I actually have.
Great, great. Yeah. And we know that the kids are always the most exciting thing. So tell me about your interaction with that diverse population at Coburn Elementary.
It's been fantastic. The students are amazing. I've learned so much from them even in the short time that I've been there. So one of the things that I've been really excited about doing are the student meet and greets. So the assistant principal, Amy Smith, is also new, so she and I have been meeting with grade levels and in the cafeteria or different locations and inviting students to kind of interview us. So for the older students, I've talked about how when you're looking for a job, when you're an adult, there's an interview process, and I explained the interview process to become principal at Coburn and who was involved in it, teachers and parents and other principals. And I shared with them that we were missing students there, so this is your opportunity to kind of get to know us and for us to kind of get to know them. So the questions they've been asking have been a lot of fun. You have some that are, what are your favorite color? Do you have any pets? But then you have some really higher level questions about what are your thoughts on the new building for Coburn School? So I've really enjoyed those interviews with the students and trying to get to know them more.
Good. We're going to get to the new building in a little bit, but tell me, what do you think so far? Again, it's early. We're only in the third week of school here, but what's been the most exciting moment maybe since the first day of school? And if you tell me it's bus pickup or drop off, then we're going to
Well, actually, I was going to go there. You get to greet the students every morning, and to see them the first day and to introduce yourself and hop on that bus and have them greet you every morning when they get off has been, I've enjoyed that. I really have enjoyed that. The meet and greets have been terrific. The open house, we did a parent meet and greet, so there was an opportunity for me and for Amy as the vice principal to have one-to-one conversations with parents. What I find about Coburn that is so unique and special, aside from the diversity and the 18 languages that we have in the building, is that the parents really trust the teachers and have a high regard and respect for education, and so do the students. They want to be there and they are eager to learn every day, so that's been exciting to watch.
Good. So that excitement and that eagerness and that willingness and that hunger for learning by the kids, how does that match up with your goals for Coburn this year and moving forward?
So I think, and we're still learning about the school, learning about what the school improvement plan is for this school year. Looking at some of the data results and seeing the areas that we have to move forward in. I think that students, like I said, are eager to learn, and we have to start looking at how we can be a little more consistent with some of the instructional models that we have. We're having a lot of conversations with teachers. I meet with teachers individually right now to kind of learn from them what do they see as the strengths of Coburn and what are some of the areas of growth that they would like us to look at and to review, whether it's something systemic or protocols, systems, that sort of thing. So there are some common threads that we're hearing, and I think that if we move forward with looking at English language arts, for example, looking at some master schedules and trying to work with staff this year, the goal would be to try to create some more common planning time for teachers, because ultimately that's what impacts the students, and to have more time on task.
Right. So again, we always want to be student-centered, and I feel that, and I love that at Coburn. So how does Coburn itself set you up and your staff up and the students up for success in terms of accommodating. Talk about the building, talk about the location of the building, talk about the programs that you've got before school, during school, and after school that are all designed to meet the needs of that population.
Yeah. And some of those I'm still learning about, but just from my observations right now and seeing what the students and how they're engaged and how their needs are being met, we're so fortunate to have so many related service providers and resources. So you think about staff in the building and how they can accommodate the students' needs, because as you know, we have students at varying levels even within one classroom. So it's a matter of how do we differentiate instruction for those needs. So we have English language teachers pushing into the classroom. We have reading specialists pushing into the classroom, math interventionists, and also pulling students out to meet needs. So, you know, we have a building that's 3 stories, and sometimes that poses challenges, going back to the schedule and figuring out how we can best accommodate to maximize the number of staff that we have, because we are fortunate to be resource rich to be able to meet those needs of students. And we're having lots of conversations about that. One of the things I'd like to start doing is looking at data and having some by grade level, and we use Wednesday afternoons for PLCs, professional learning communities for the staff, and having grade levels bring staff look at the data to see what kind of progress are our students making in that grade level, and how do we best utilize those related service providers to meet those kids' needs.
When you walk that 3-story building and you see us utilizing every corner of that building for instruction, what gets you most excited about teaching and learning at Coburn?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, I think it's the creativity that some of the teachers are bringing to the table and bringing to their instructional practices. I recently observed our 5th grade team and how they are collaborating. The 5th grade classes right now are pretty full, and the classroom sizes at Coburn, as you know, are fairly small physically. And what the teachers are doing in terms of being creative, they're rotating for math. So they are doing a workshop model and having smaller groups of students rotate between several classrooms, utilizing paraprofessionals who are so skilled at Coburn to be able to work with students in smaller groups, and figuring out that the fact that they thought outside of the box to be able to do that is commendable.
Yeah. So you've, like many of our students, you've come from many different places, and you've worked in multiple states. Which of your experiences, tell the audience at home, which of your experiences has been maybe the most challenging for you, and why?
So I've worked in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania and now Massachusetts in varying roles from teacher to administrator. I think one of the most challenging roles that I actually had was when I took a step out of the public school system and went to work for the New Jersey Department of Education. And that particular role, I was the professional development coordinator for the state, overseeing the Department of Urban Literacy, Early Literacy, and Reading First. And one of the challenges that I find that made me immediately go back to think about the challenges that teachers face every day is that when you are thinking and planning about how to create professional development offerings for teachers, when you have over 650 school districts in New Jersey, and you have North Jersey is so different, more urban than South Jersey, how different they are, and that continuum of learning and how you have to differentiate was incredibly challenging to meet all the needs of those different school districts. So it just brought me back to the role of a teacher and how hard that is when you think about, and I see it every day now at Coburn, you walk into a classroom and students are all over this learning continuum and how teachers have to differentiate, and I think that is one of the biggest challenges that I had, but exciting at the same time.
Absolutely, and I know we've talked about your experience with forming professional development opportunities, and talk a little bit about a meeting that you had yesterday about reading at Coburn, and you had a meeting. It was you and Amy Smith, your vice principal, and Tim Connor, our curriculum director, and Karen Diaz, our literacy coach for the elementary level, and Charlene DeSteff, our new ELL director. Talk a little bit about what you as a group are going to be doing for the students at Coburn.
Well, that was really exciting because it felt to me walking away, everybody was really on the same page. And we have so many different experts that were at that table to be able to think about what our goals and our vision is for teaching reading. So we're looking at focusing right now on reading instruction and kind of taking a step back and looking at what is the best instructional model. What do we want to see in classrooms? What are teachers doing? And we'd like to work with teachers to be able to say, okay, what are the best practices? Are we looking at a guided reading model? Are we looking at a reading workshop model? Because those will naturally differentiate for students to meet the diverse population that we have. So our next steps will be having conversations with classroom teachers to kind of look at and identify what do we want to do consistently, going back to that consistency piece for instruction, and then asking teachers to really look at the data. Our teachers have spent the first month of school assessing and getting baseline data on our students. And they are really good at looking at that data to be able to inform instruction. So I want to create opportunities for those grade levels and the related service providers to meet together every 6 weeks, look at the data, see which students are responding well to an intervention that we're giving them, and then looking at other students who might need to have an intervention that didn't have one yet. So I think that will help us be able to meet the greater needs of our students, but we have to first bring teachers into those conversations and look at what's really working well.
Great. You know, we're in this beautiful studio here at the high school, and we're indoors, but I know that you love the outdoors.
Yep.
And talk to me a little bit about the beauty of the outdoors, what that means to you, and then have you been to Bear Hole Watershed yet? So start with the easy one, which is tell me a little bit about your love of the great outdoors.
Okay, so I'm embarrassed to say I've not been to Bear Hole yet, but I will be joining our 5th graders when they're going in the coming weeks, and I look forward to that. So I love nature, I love the outdoors, I love doing all those outdoor sports, kayaking and hiking and all of that. Some of my favorite places that I've been to, I love Acadia National Park, and the Grand Canyon is something that I don't know if you've seen it, it's breathtaking. It just, you stand there in awe at just how magnificent that it really is. And what I like to do as an educator is kind of bring some of those experiences back to students and talk to them about how we can learn things from nature. I've talked to students in previous positions, and hopefully I'll have the opportunity at Coburn, about what we learn from birds and how we can learn about ourselves and setting goals for ourselves just by our observations of birds. I am an avid heart rock collector, and I have students that have always added to my collection because they know I like that. And I talk about how we look at heart rocks, and while some may be imperfect and not the perfect, beautiful shape, we have to look at each other the same way and accept everybody for who they are, and find that piece of perfection in somebody, just like you would in nature. So I try to bring my experiences in the outdoors to my students so they can learn from those too.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My daughters too love to collect heart rocks. They've got one. No. So let's talk about what we hope for when we talk about perfection, and that is maybe the construction of a new Coburn Elementary School. And one of the challenges that we named with you when you were hired was, are you ready for this? Are you ready for the challenge of undertaking a building project? And so we've just recently, to bring the viewership at home up to speed, we've approved an owner project manager for this group, and that's NV5, and they have started working with us. Our next step will be to select a designer for the building, so an architect to design it. And there's lots of work that will happen in between, including forming an educational plan. But talk to me about what your vision is for the new building. What kinds of things do you think are important in a new elementary school, a state-of-the-art elementary school, and one that services the population of Coburn?
I think one of the things in Coburn School, as it is now, 93-year-old building, has so much character and is so charming, and I do enjoy that building a lot. But one of the things I'm noticing that's lacking that, for me, I think would be important to add to Coburn is a common space in terms of where can we bring all the students together to be able to get to know each other, share some of the celebrations and the things that we're learning in classrooms, have some all-school meetings. We have a beautiful auditorium in the Coburn School. It's small, and I would love to be able to see some shared spaces where we can have some cross age level, opportunities for students to be able to learn from each other. That's one of the important things. You know, technology is critical. We're seeing that more and more with kiddos, and with the MCAS 2.0 and having it be online. So we want to be able to have opportunities for students to have a technology-rich school, to have the devices and have, whether it's a computer lab or having more devices in classrooms so they can utilize those and learn how to be safe users of technology too. But I think priority for me would certainly be that shared space.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that space would allow us to also bring the community in, to make sure that Coburn Elementary is a building that the community can fully access across town for meetings and athletic events and productions, so that we can have a great place for all of us to come together.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned technology, so let's talk about social media. So I've roped you in to the Twitter thing, and you've started to use it. Talk to me a little bit about your vision for social media as it applies to Coburn.
Social media is important, and prior to, and we've talked about this before, that I had not used Twitter, but I've learned really quickly how to use Twitter, and I think it's a great way to communicate the things and celebrate the things that are happening in the school. With students, we want students to be able to be, as I said earlier, safe users of technology, and to teach them how to use technology as a tool and a resource. Teach them the productivity skills and those productivity apps, but teach them also that when they're surfing the internet, that how can they assess and evaluate a website effectively, to know that will be a good website to gather research, to do whatever they're focusing on for their learning and to supplement their learning. But we hear all the time about students who are using cell phones and using some of those Facebook, Instagram, and in unsafe ways, and I think it's our job to be able to teach students to be able to use them in a safe way, in a smart way.
For sure, good. Yeah. Well, what we love about Twitter is the number of followers that we're getting, and the way for us to interact with the community, and I appreciate you jumping on board with that. Anything that you want to add to the conversation, or make sure that people here in West Springfield know about you, about your vision for Coburn, and your plans for the future?
I think I just want to again reiterate that Coburn's a special place. It's a really unique building, and I'm so honored to be able to be leading that school and working collaboratively with Amy Smith. I want parents to be able to feel comfortable coming in safe. Language is not going to be a barrier for us, and we've worked really hard. We have wonderful translators and interpreters in the building. We have upcoming meetings for school council next week and PTO, and we've communicated that out to families, and we just want to open our doors to have parents be involved, see what's happening in school, because the research shows that the more actively involved families are, the more successful their children will be in school. So I want people to know that it's an open door and a very welcoming school.
Very good, very good. Well, I want to thank you, Jeanine, and for everyone at home, we hope that you join us every segment that we are putting forward. We're going to begin this as a bi-weekly program. If you have ideas of people that you would like to hear from in the West Springfield Public Schools or in the West Springfield community, be sure to email me at mrichard@wsps.org. And if you need to reach Ms. Heil, she can be reached at Heil, Heil, @wsps.org. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.